Hi friends, I'm sorry my face is so big. I put the camera and microphone closer because there are some audio issues. I did spend €60 on what turned out to be a karaoke microphone, but it wasn't even as good quality as the microphone on my camera. Anyway, I'm pressing through. I'm in agony with my back. I've started with a physio, and she gave me an exercise regime which has put my back out. It's not her fault. It's not her fault, and I'm hoping I'll feel better tomorrow, but I'm really in a lot of pain, and I don't like taking painkillers. But what I want to do is, because yesterday when I made an emotional anniversary recording about my sister's suspicious death 7 years ago, I had not opened the tabs prior, and if I haven't done that, I can't access them once I'm Zoom recording. So hopefully this time I can. And I've been through, like, I always get very triggered and emotional after I do a deep truth video, and the next day I'm really scared and I kind of dissociate into little altars and just want to hide and all the rest of it. And I did put my video from yesterday unlisted for a while, with fear. But the truth is, I took all the steps I could take except a judicial review. I don't have much faith in the legal system, judicial systems, such as they are. And I think, I don't know if legal aid, I don't think legal aid covers that kind of stuff. Because even when my father tried to get legal advice on getting the deeds to the house that was bought from my sister Sharon, he was advised that legal aid doesn't cover family disputes over land or property. So let me just, I'm going to deliberate. Thank you for the feedback and for those that shared, especially the poem by Michaela Robinson, shared it on TikTok, Telegram, and so on to raise awareness about S.R.A. I'm sorry I went unlisted for a while. And if people, I've never been sued for libel or slander or defamation. The closest shave I had was Ricky Dearman of the Hampstead cult flying to Ireland to try and file harassment charges against me when he had put the children back out in the public arena on an eBay promotional ad. And it's coming up 4 years since that happened. It did lose me my computer and 2 laptops. I've never had a decision from the DPP. But the biggest lesson I learned from that was not to live in fear. And it's literally like disclosing, if you've tried to get justice through the courts and the police and you failed, and you've tried to get justice every way you know how, the only thing we have left is the court of public opinion and raising awareness. And I do pour most of my energy not into trying to untangle my own injustices and my sisters and my mother's and so on. And in some ways, I want to write my book just to document my family of origin, and MK Ultra, trauma-based mind control, human hunting, and military operations. But ultimately, if we're not going to get justice, what does it serve? So I pour most of my energy into telling people about Jesus and cases that are live at the moment, like Hampstead and Anglesey, and so many more. Ammanford Files. I do want to do an interview of, I think it's Alan Tate, who's worked tirelessly. He's had 1.6 million views of his evidence of underground, likely underground trafficking going on in South Wales, and yet no justice, no investigation. So I'm open to know. I have to keep an eternal perspective. In this life you will have tribulation, but cheer up, I've overcome this. In this world you will have tribulation, but cheer up, I've overcome this world, is what Jesus said. That's paraphrase. And I have to keep an eternal perspective, not to feel utter despair as to the fact that hundreds of thousands, millions of people suffer injustice, lose their children, or lose their potential in life through abuse and trafficking. And it seems like nothing changes, but I think the internet's changed a lot, and awareness at least has risen. Right, so I'm going to go into this file deliberately dissociating, to be honest, because it's so painful, because I tried to get justice for my sister. I documented all this evidence before on my main YouTube channel and my main Facebook, and both of them got mute, But let's try again. Okay. Here we go, Fiona. And see how easy that was once I had it already open. I'm not, shall I share screen? I think I will. Share screen. Because what are they going to do? I'm telling the truth. What are you going to do to me? I'm telling the truth, right? I'm sharing screen. And here's my email folder on Fiona. Now I'm probably going back to front of its date 2016. I should literally probably start at the bottom. Letter not dispatched but written. Helen Clark, that was a copper that investigated my abuse. That's Belinda. That's the ASSA I tried to register with. That's the copper talking about the Royal Air Force. Royal Air Force. Response to your email. I'm trying to see if I can hone in on the coroner's ridiculousness, where he said he couldn't change a death certificate once it was issued, but when I pointed out he'd reported the death being discovered by Garda Anne-Marie Galligan, he changed the death certificate with that false information on it. Independent inquiry. The independent inquiry shared my testimony with somebody else and somebody else's testimony with me, and begged me not to expose that, saying it was just an administrative error. Even Tom, whatever his name was, I think it was Sky TV or BBC, there were two Toms reporting on ASSA, Tom Simmons and Tom, I want to say Parmenter, but I might be wrong. They were like, we've really got big hopes for this ASSA inquiry, so we'd really be grateful if you don't reveal that they're doing things like losing 2 weeks of disclosures, and sending people each other's testimonies. I'll read them all for the sake of research, but I'm just trying to scan and see if I can find the toxicology and the coroner. Yeah, that's all about. Hi, Angie. Okay, no problem. I'm not on duty. That's a copper from Wiltshire and Avon and Somerset. Yeah, that's all the coppers. I really tried. I reported my sister's death to the Irish Gardaí under DC McDorrigan. I reported my abuse through, I originally reported in Brixton. They referred me to Wiltshire as the last known physical assault by my parents, both of them, my mum. My dad held me down after a severe beating, and my mum poured crumbled Valium down my throat, and the next day they hid me in a convent in Ireland for a week until I could walk again and talk again. So then it went to Wiltshire Police, and then for some reason, because they were investigating Ted Heath at the same time, they transferred it, or they expanded my investigation to include Avon and Somerset Police. And I connected with another survivor who was reporting, extreme abuse, including by VIPs, including human hunting. And he also had been given the runaround and sent between 3 British police forces. And we just wondered if it was because they were trying not to make a trail to corroborate the evidence against the likes of Ted Heath and so on, based in Salisbury. Anyway, and the police chief that said that there were 17 credible allegations against him, independent of each other and corroborative, with an MO, much like Dickie Hickey at the moment. New contact, that's all from the police. This is all emails from the police. But it's interesting how it got sent from Brixton to Wiltshire and then to include Avon and Somerset, and then collapsed after 6 months, I think due very much to Sarah Phillimore, who was based in my old hometown of Bradford-on-Avon in Wiltshire and was great buddies with Karen Irving of Hoaxted Research, and I suspect that she went to them and said Angela's sharing your communications with her, she's video blogging about it or whatever, and collapsed the case. It was me trying to call you, that's the cops. Right, this is all the cops. Let's see if we can find the coroner. Not for public sharing yet. Military abuse rings in the 60s. Have the right person. My daughter's Sharon Home. Wow. Private and comfortable. Hi Tom, yeah, that's the guy from Sky News or BBC. And like, what reason have I got not to put this stuff out there? I got no justice anywhere. Neither did my sister. For now, it will sit on file. I can't remember who that is. Tom Simmons. Yeah, I will need to make calls. Tom Simmons. That was Sky News or BBC. I can't remember which. Because I reported that I'd been given confidential disclosures by survivors. Keep me posted. Military abuse rings. For asking I'm okay. I think that your letter is brilliant, outlines there, that's nice. Proposed meeting. Do not start calling. Okay. Here we go with coroner. Here we go. Let's just look at the coroner one, shall we, for today? I've shown you how much Nathaniel Lacey, that was the name of the senior coroner, the other coroner that I'd met at a wedding a few weeks earlier and lives around the corner from me, or did, was mysteriously taken off the job and the boss took over. So here's proof I'm not lying. I hope you get this. I've got Skype up and running. This is a fellow survivor who's very intelligent. That's my mother. Update on investigation. That's Avon and Somerset Police. Just going to the top to see what I've got here, and I think for today, I think you can see just by the volume of the material I've got here that I'm not lying. I've got a whole folder of evidence, and for what, it didn't make any difference. But let's just look at the coroner. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll open them all. Right. My sister's legal name was Marion Fiona Power, but she always went by Fiona. Dear Miss Power, I refer to the above in your email of 27th of November last. This is back in, I don't know when it is. The date's probably somewhere on it. It's high importance. I will deal with your queries below. 1. Please see attached copy of the verdict together with the report of Dr. Muna Sabah, consultant pathologist. 2. There was no jury required for the inquest. Apparently, sometimes that's optional, but my voice was not sufficient to go up against my family and the local club, shall we call it. In relation to the issue of ragwort, that matter is still with Angarda Coroner and not relevant to the inquest. Oh, really? I don't understand your query in relation to Miss Brady. Miss Brady works for me and I'm the coroner of County Meath. I asked why Miss Brady had been removed from the case. As indicated to you at the inquest, it is for Angarda Coroner to investigate any aspects of a criminal nature in relation to any death, which they did thoroughly, inadequately, including not interviewing anybody in my family. It was outrageous. Mick Dorrigan, you were a disgrace. It is not for my office to do so, and I held the inquest as Angarda Coroner informed me that their investigations had ceased for the time being. If it is that you wish for further investigations to be carried out by Angarda Coroner, you should direct your queries towards them and not my office. Pass the buck. Many thanks for your assistance and attendance at the inquest. I've issued my clearance certificate. Yes, you did, didn't you? Calling my sister Angarda, Bangarda Amory Callaghan. And once the Register of Births, Deaths and Marriages, the Enterprise Centre, Trim Road, Navan, County Meath, is in receipt of saying your family will be able to obtain a death certificate. Again, I would like, don't you dare convey your condolences, don't you even dare. Right, that's that one. It's a coroner, so let's go here. Let's go to the next one. Dear Miss Power, my name's Power Disney actually, but never mind. I refer to the above and acknowledge receipt of your email or of even date. Any investigations are carried out by Angarda Coroner and not this office. Please note that the record of verdict is based on the evidence given, and I can't put the matter any further. Take. Alright, just in case anybody thought I was bullshitting. Oh look, there's 2 more down here. There's I've got so much evidence. What to do with it? The inquest was adjourned. I confirm that the inquest list was provisional. Isn't that interesting? And I will therefore arrange for another date in early course. Please note the next date will be in the new year. Fiona died in May, so it was the new year of a year later. Blah, blah. So I'm just randomly opening these to show you. I will therefore proceed with the inquest. So they were going to delay it because Angarda Coroner said they hadn't concluded their investigations. They didn't do any, not worth speaking of. They allegedly analysed a paste my father had in the garage. My father was an expert on farmland poisons, and he would make a point of collecting boholoins or ragwort and drying it out. And when he asked my son to clean up the yard outside, my father saw all this dried out poison, ragwort, and gathered it up. I don't know whether to put it, I think my father said put it in the garage. But my son got a rash from his hands to his elbows, his skin all peeled from the toxicity of it. My father was an absolute expert in poisons, deadly nightshade and so on. Yeah, so, and I will therefore proceed with the inquest. So they were going to delay it because on Garda Coroner were delaying the investigation into the suspicious circumstances around my sister's death. And then on Garda Coroner, possibly because I made a video about this, said, oh no, go ahead with the inquest. Cover up firmly in place, I allege. Yeah, I've read you that one. I read you that one. I'm trying to find the one where he did the death certificate. Yeah, he keeps passing the buck to the guards. Yeah, blah, blah. Nathaniel Lacey. Now let's check this one. Yeah, it's passing the buck. Wait for that to go out of the way. Oh, stop it. Sorry, this sharing thing, Coroner County Meath. It's a public office. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong in sharing this. Let's have a look at this. The appropriate process to challenge an inquest verdict is by way of judicial review in the High Court. And as far as I know, I just gave up at that point, I'll be honest. I gave up. I said I will deal with the Gardaí regarding the lack of appropriate investigations from me. I should inform you I will also contact the National Body for Coroners to inform them of my intention to contest the conclusions drawn by yourself for the cause of death. I will seek legal advice as to whether there is an ombudsman as such covering inquests and would appreciate from your office any advice regarding protocol with a verdict contestant. I'm unable to accede to your request to review the verdict. We will correct the error in reference to Miss Galligan and apologise for saying, this is after he told me, so I'd written to him. I said, my final submission regarding the inordinately high count 500 plus of beta-hydroxybutyric acid is a scholarly document regarding its manufacture. It is also possibly present in toxic farmland weeds, such as ragwort, and this is the subject of further analysis, as well as antifreeze. Yeah, the other suggestion was the toxin could be likened to, or actually antifreeze, a very successful poison. The below, together with the zero alcohol pathology, indicates contradiction of the assertion that these levels of toxins were left behind in Fiona's system by binge drinking, which she was not a binge drinker. She was a tippler. Yet supposedly her body processed and cleared up 2 bottles of brandy. Impossible, according to preliminary professional advice I have taken. I would draw, and this is me to him, I would draw your attention to another error on the paperwork for my sister Fiona, where you listed identification as being by Garda Anne-Marie Galligan of Oldcastle Gardaí. This is my sister, and she is not a guard. Please advise. I will deal with your queries below. Thanks for your hospitality last night. This was for the inquest, it was horrific. Particularly the volunteers serving coffee, tea and kindness, much appreciated. I accept the physical findings of metabolic ketoacidosis leading to a coma death. No, I don't actually know. There was a hematoma to the left temple, which my father always advised was an instant assassination point. But I kept dissociating and trying to be compliant. But contest the assumption that alcohol caused this, particularly in light of the 0% alcohol in blood and the following information on multiple causes of this, including poisoning. I was surprised Bangarda Gilmurray's sergeant spoke on her behalf and not the detective inspector who had been assigned the possible suspicious circumstances of the death to investigate. I was extremely surprised a double poison substance submitted to yourself and passed to the detective was never sent for analysis. And hope the sergeant is successful. This was Mark Luby was the sergeant at that time, I think. And now he's a DI or something. He's advanced through the ranks. I still think he's okay. Hope the sergeant is successful in this request, and that the doctor did not seem aware in her framework of possibilities of poisoning by AN other with possible ragwort. And I only guessed at the ragwort. My father was an expert. Could have been antifreeze, could have been arsenic, could have been anything. I also asked that the other findings, such as internal bruising to the left temple from a suspected blow or trauma, and bleeding stomach ulcers, as well as narrowed heart arteries, emphysema, and COPD are noted, as well as severely fatty liver. And the exact wording of the coroner's decision on the cause of death. How dare. If they'd recorded misadventure, it wouldn't have been so suspicious. By covering this up as an alcohol death with a mystery toxin likened to antifreeze or ragwort or a farmland poison or a random poison, to fob it off as an alcohol death with zero alcohol count was just... Anyway. Any red flags in Fiona's living circumstances with my father? You may be aware of an ongoing criminal investigation opened in the UK into reports of abuse by my father and others, historically, as well as neglect and collusion by my mother. I was at that point just... I omitted one important question to the doctor at the inquest. Was there fluid, water, present in the lungs, and if so, what quantity? I would appreciate advice on protocol for asking this question post-inquest. Could you advise a suitable time, Monday or Tuesday, to call to your office to collect paperwork? I will take other questions and requests of the possible criminal aspects of the death up with the Gardaí. And thank you for your help. See, I started off being really polite. And it's only with hindsight. I'll see what Sue had to say, because her father was a Nazi and a Satanist and highly trained in toxins like chemical orange, World War II, I think. This goes deep, people. This poisoning stuff goes deep. Well, that message said nothing in it. Anyway, that's a part one. There's all the stuff. That's a part one. I think that shows, just that bundle shows that I'm speaking the truth. God bless. Thank you for those who wrote condolences, and I don't know what to do to get heard. You try the police, you try the coroner, you try research. At some point you give up, and then years later you remember an anniversary and you go, this was never right. Right, God bless people. Please check the links in the description.